Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC-Mura here, and in today's video we will be taking a look at how you can fight against Fang in Street Fighter V. He is a character that many players struggle against because you do have to know a lot of matchup specific information when you're fighting against Fang, and for that reason many of the sequences that you will be seeing today I will be showing it to you from the perspective of multiple different characters, so at least have an idea of what you can do or some things that you might try to experiment with your own character. And secondly, he is a character that will require you to know a lot of his own frame data, and many players may not have a complete understanding of frame data yet, but the general rule of the thumb with Fang is that his kicks are plus on block, minus the sweep. Every other kick is actually plus. His punches are negative except the lights. All of the other punches are negative, but they are cancelable, and the kicks are plus. So let's actually get to it. I will first start with his pressure because this is where many of the players struggle. The first sequence is gonna be let's say 2 crouching medium kicks into the up wall. Obviously, like we said, crouching medium kick is plus on block. So this is a sequence that you will see many Fang players doing. Pretty much they want you to try to interrupt here, so then they will hit you, and or at least the up balls will keep you blocking. If you try to hit them too late, maybe he will recover first and hit you. You know how it goes. So the thing about this sequence, the quote-unquote universal answer here is early sweep. If you sweep him too late, he can actually quick rise here and punish you, but an early sweep should keep you safe from the fireballs, right? That should actually keep you safe. So this is as universal as it gets against Fang. But there are a lot of character specific options, like I said. For someone like Ken, for example, you might consider a V-trigger activation. This is actually pretty good because Ken moves forward. You might want to consider doing a heavy punch DB. This could get you out of the way. So there is a lot of that, and these are typically better answers than the universal ones that you have. So I hope that the previous couple of clips give you a couple of ideas. There is invincibility, there is armor, there is the idea of transitioning into an animation, whether with the Irish whip or the command grab so that the up balls doesn't hit you. There are a lot of answers, and most of the characters will have a way to deal with it. You just have to lab it and find it out for the most part, right? Now let's take a look at a couple of other things and a couple of other really known sequences. The idea with Fang is obviously after a couple of normals get blocked, he will have to find a way back in, right? One of the most commonly used one is a string like that, double crouching medium kicks into a standing heavy kick. His standing heavy kick is +1 on block, as you can see. Now the thing about this sequence in general and Fang in general is that because of the standing heavy kick, he is a lot harder to deal with if you don't have a 3 frame, right? Here if you have a 3 frame like Mika, for example, after the standing heavy kick you just press your jab and you will trade with his light punch every single time. So it pretty much effectively ends his pressure after the standing heavy kick. If you don't have a 3 frame, this is where this gets a lot more complicated because you will have to make a choice. Now after blocking 2 crouching medium kicks, he's out of range, right? So you know he will try to do something. Either cancel a normal into the up balls, or cancel a normal into the Ryobenda, go into the coward stance, or go for the standing heavy kick. So you might want to try to backdash here, right? If you happen to backdash and he did the standing heavy kick, you get a punish on him. He have a ton of recovery frame on that one, so you can do whatever you want. You can even neutral jump it here if you got the read on it and get a combo punish. But again, this is a read, right? You're gonna have to make a read. Obviously, if you don't have a 3 frame and you just don't know how to deal with it, V reversal is an option as well. although it is not very good one for the most part at least. Now here is another situation, the one that I was talking about. After a couple of normals, he will try to go for the coward stance, and that is pretty much one of his main tools of getting in. If you are playing a lot against Bison, think of this as Fang's equivalent of the Psycho Axe, right? It is a type of attack that will be used a lot to just get in again, because it moves him forward and it is plus on block. So what's gonna happen a lot is a lot of this, right? A lot of just staying out of range, and once he's like 1 or 2 normals away, he will use the coward stance. Now this attack have a lot of startup, and you can interrupt it actually. You can even sweep him if you're ready. Mika obviously have one of the slower sweeps, so maybe we'll use the crouching heavy punch instead. But again, sweeping on reaction might be difficult, because if you are too late you might get hit. So what I would recommend here is honestly mashing your crouching light kicks. Crouching light kicks, as soon as you see him crouch or go prone like that, crouching light kicks are typically really good. You might not get the best conversions, but this is the most consistent, right? This is the most consistent way of dealing with him. The issue is obviously because when he's crouching as well, a lot of attacks he might actually low profile. Like for example, I know he low profiled Cody's crouching light punch, so it can be a little bit annoying. So crouching light kick is a pretty good answer. Also, if you have the read, backdash isn't a bad option, right? So if you have a read that he does it after 2 jabs, you might backdash, and on a backdash you can get away with punish, right? So that is a pretty decent option as well. Again, a lot of matchup specific information here. Maybe for example your character backdash is short, so you can't really get rid of him. Even if he goes into the coward stance and doesn't follow up with the kicks, he can cancel into the up ball, so it's not a guaranteed punish. And that's why I'm saying that crouching light kick, from my experience, at least to stop him, is the best answer. So obviously, other than the up balls, other than ending with standing heavy kick or the coward stance, what Fang might do that is, that's pretty much the last block string ender he can do, is the Ryobenda. And obviously there is the light and the medium, and this one was the medium one, right? And as you can see, the Ryobenda is actually -9 on block. So, and it does leave him at a little bit of a distance, so the punish opportunity will vary from a character to character. Obviously some characters will have an easier time punishing than others. Again, comes down to a lot of matchup specifics. You'll kinda have to lab if your character can punish this. Unfortunately, many characters actually can't, so it does kinda suck. Like for someone like Rose here, you're gonna have to super, which isn't ideal, but you know, you take what you can get, right? So this is a little bit obnoxious. The other ender that he might do is the heavy kick Ryobenda. And the heavy kick Ryobenda is the one that leaves the cloud. This is pretty interesting because the other ones, including the EXs, so the light and the mediums, they are unsafe, but they don't leave a trail, and you can't really interrupt them. It's a true block string. So for example, let me show you back the medium version. If he's doing the medium version and I'm trying to mash here, nothing is coming out. Notice that. However, with the heavy version, there is a big sizable gap here, right? Like you can mash out of it. However, if I'm being completely honest, mashing is pretty difficult. Like you can, it's hard to react. More often than not, you're gonna trade, and that's even with the jab. So it is pretty difficult. You can certainly like mash jab into like spiral, but as you can see, even the spacing might fuck it up. The thing about it is that there is a sizable recovery here. He is -37, as you can see. So this is where a lot, like I said, a lot of matchup specifics come into the play. Maybe for someone like Rose, EX Spiral is a pretty good answer. you will find that attacks like her forward medium kick, this is also pretty good versus the Cloud. It will hit him from behind it, so that is a decent answer as well. And obviously you will be plus on this hit, so you can like take your turn after that. Certainly obviously full invisibility with something like super will work. Again, it's a lot of matchup specifics that you will have to lab and figure out what are the best options for your character. So let's now check out a couple of the neutral interactions that are pretty important to know when you are fighting against Fang, and a couple of his defensive options. One of the most commonly used sequences by Fang players is doing the EX up ball into the command dash. This is obviously a way for him to bypass the neutral and get in. Obviously if you're blocking, he can go for a block string as well. He can be at a lot of plus frames if you happen to block this, right? It leaves him in a really good spot. The thing that you have to know is that the EX dash, it's actually throwable, right? So if you're just a little bit outside of the round screen range or the round start range, just a tiny bit outside of it, you can throw him out of the command dash. So you don't really have to take this sequence, and that round start range is when he's likely to be doing this anyway, right? So that is important to know. And one of the other things is obviously his zoning. I will say if you have a 3 frame or not, and if you have an option to deal with this style of zoning, is pretty much what dictate if Fang is a good or a bad matchup for you. For someone like Chun-Li, she doesn't really have an easy anti-fireball tool. Obviously if she has super, she can absolutely super through that, so that is not bad. But the thing about Chun-Li, for example, is that you can use your standing heavy kick from, I would say, about the mid-screen range and try to crush counter him out of the fireball, right? That actually works. If you're a little bit too close, her leg will not go completely over the cloud and you will get hit, but from around the mid-screen range, give or take, this is a decent option. Obviously this is highly character specific. I will be showing you a couple of examples, but generally if your character have a tool against that style of zoning, you will have a decent time versus Fang. The other tool that is vital to know what to do against is his annoying flight. The thing about the flight is that when he started he will descend for a little bit and then he will start to ascend again. And when he's ascending, this is when he gets to act, right? So you have to know the timing for this one. Obviously it can be tricky to anti-air grounded because usually he will go over you and might go for the cross-up, and the timing is a little bit difficult, but you can grounded anti-air it. It's just that the timing is really weird. If you wanna air to air it, go for something that is very active, like I would say Chun-Li jumping heavy punch. This is very active, hits for days, so it is a pretty good option against it. Or something like her jumping light kick, because this hits upward, right? Like Chun-Li is targeting upward with the standing light kick or the jumping light kick. So it is a pretty good attack against his flight shenanigans, but like you know and like you just seen, character specific. Like you have to know with your character what are the options here, right? Now on defense, when you are pressuring Fang, there are two vital informations that you need to know. Obviously he doesn't have a 3 frame and doesn't have armor, so that is good. His only ways of escaping pressures are gonna be the V shift, the V reversal, or his EX command dash. If Fang is doing the EX command dash, this is throwable, right? And a lot of Fang players love to wake up with this because they expect that you are gonna try to meet him. It is fully invincible to strikes, so if you're trying to hit him, he can get out of it. But it is throwable, and I would say it's throwable for a long time, right? So like if you try to meet him with a jab and he did it, you can kind of throw him. It obviously depends on the range and everything, but it is throwable for a decent length. So know that the EX command dash is throwable. The other thing is obviously his V reversal. His V reversal is good, it will switch sides, but it does have a lot of recovery. As you see, he was here minus 18. So with someone like Chun-Li, for example, if I'm doing a meaty or he's trying to reversal my standing medium punch, notice she was plus 14. This means that she gets a heavy punch punish, and that should be very costly for Fang. And that is mostly it for the essentials that you will need to know to do well against Fang. Like I said, I just showed you a couple of different ideas with a couple of different characters. You kinda have to know your own character specific answers against his stuff. And I hope that this video kinda gave you some ideas on what you might look for. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, it helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page and the Discord server page in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.
Now I'm excited! Don't go! Too bad! What you looking at?
Just